Thank you for joining us, everyone. This is Will with Perpetual Assets, featuring today Dueling Greenhouses. If you joined us last time, this is our good friend Bix Weir with roadtorooted.com. Everybody knows Bix and his lovely greenhouse. So last time we had him here on site, and we decided to do a Dueling Greenhouses interview, and maybe we'll have votes at the end and see who's got the sexier greenhouse. I don't know.
I think we have almost the same one.
Right.
Well, this was a delayed interview because you were on your way up here. We were going to do it live from the greenhouse.
That's true.
From my greenhouse, but your back got all screwed up, and there goes your trip.
Yeah.
We'll get you to Oakland. Don't worry.
No, we'll definitely. Yeah, my wife, God bless her, her zeal. She's overzealous in planning and booking and trips, which is great for a recluse like me because it keeps me connected with friends all over the place. But yeah, the back surgery was a gnarly. I'm still recovering, and so it was too early, man. I was dealing with all the other junk. But
so we'll do it all mobile. That's the world we live in now is very mobile.
Right? Absolutely. Maybe next time we'll do a Dueling Vista, and I'll see if I can get live from the Baja site.
Oh my God!
We'll probably have to stream on roaming on hotspot, so we'll keep it short and sweet, so it doesn't cost me like $100. But
I think we got dueling bombers going overhead right now with both of us.
Yeah, so I'm in San Diego, and I'm living in the flight path. Right.
You want to hear something strange? My house in Oakland is, we're in the Oakland Hills. We're not in any flight path at all. Uh-huh. But every once in a while, we'll have like a plane come over every minute at like from 11 to 12 at night, every minute. Some kind of military plane comes flying overhead every minute. It's like clockwork for like an hour. Well, I don't know what they're moving around out there, but there's a lot of shit going down.
So this is an interesting location, San Diego. Like, obviously, huge naval operations going on here. And whenever there's a red, when the 2 weeks ago with the Korea-Japanese thing, dude, I would have thought we were going to war. I mean, it was literally, you hear this like massive like jet noise. I mean, it's like, yeah. Oh my God, that's legit. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Gus said this best. He's like, I'm pretty sure my apartment is ground zero on some North Korean war room thing.
I would think that Gus would be on anybody's list to blow up first. I love him. The Cuss with Gus is a great show.
God bless him. I'd blow him up if I could. Love you, buddy. I mean that. So, man, yeah, the markets are insane. We had a little silver gold rally there, and then it, of course, got smacked back down, thankfully, so we can get more. Hopefully, cryptos continue to explode. I'd like to see from here, what's today? The 18th, September 18th, Monday morning. Happy Monday, everybody. We've had a pretty epic crypto pullback here in the last, Bitcoin got up to, that's back to 4,000 this morning, but it dipped. What, almost 1,000? Did it get down to 2,900 a couple days ago?
Well, it went from 48 to 29, yeah.
Okay.
But this is, when you analyze kind of looking back, and I sent some emails about this, it's all talk. People talking about, there's nothing wrong with the technology. Blockchain technology is perfectly fine. All the cryptos are fine. They are trying to talk the price down. It was getting ahead of itself. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, one of the biggest arguments against having the cryptos as a form of currency is the volatility. So when you think about it also, you're like, okay, why is the Bank of China and the Chinese authorities trying to put the handcuffs on the cryptos? They aren't really. They're just trying to slow it down. I think Jamie Dimon, the little bastard, was in on it as well. But it started with when China said, okay, no more ICOs. And everyone's like, oh my God, no more ICOs in China. First of all, the Chinese ICOs were all crimes. Everyone was a crime against humanity. Just they're trying to steal people's money, and there was no regulation at all. In the U.S., we have more regulation than China, but still very little regulation. I think regulation is great for the cryptocurrencies. If we're going to legitimize Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies and tokens, yes, we should have regulation, and everybody should be excited about that. But I think the overall plan was, say no ICOs, have Jamie Dimon come out and diss Bitcoin, and then, oh, by the way, after saying, my daughter is an idiot for buying Bitcoin, and he'd fire any trader that dabbled in Bitcoin. After the crash, in I think it was in Sweden, J.P. Morgan Securities bought a Bitcoin ETF on the crash.
In fact,
completely
yeah.
illegal.
Yeah.
If you ask me, he is the head. It's not illegal for a trader to do that. The traders always lie and cheat and steal about their book. But the head of a systemically risky bank coming out and saying
it's securities fraud.
Oh, it is.
Even though it's not a security, fraud. I mean, but it's front running. I mean, if you do that as a license,
it's a security. The ETF that they're buying.
Okay.
He's purposely
there you go.
trying to drive the price down of the ETF so they could buy. It wasn't a huge buy for J.P. Morgan. It was. Right. I'm sure it was a mistake. Some trader, probably part of an algorithm when this drops so low. But it tells you one thing, that J.P. Morgan is invested in the cryptos. This wasn't their first purchase.
That day, I saw pictures of the people in the J.P. Morgan office in San Francisco. They had a meeting that day. Crypto-based meeting. There were like a couple of different CEOs from blockchain-related companies there. They had a Bitcoin meeting the day before that he dropped that bomb. So, yeah.
But his distinction, which I think is an idiotic distinction, but not from where he stands. His distinction is that the blockchain is good, amazing technology, but Bitcoin is bad because it's a competition against his cryptocurrency, his unbacked electronic currency, which is the U.S. dollar that they create out of thin air.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things. How hard is it for J.P. Morgan to create money versus how hard is it for Bitcoin to create more Bitcoin? I mean, obviously his is the con, his is the scam, not Bitcoin.
Right.
Bitcoin I think it costs $1,000 is the average to mine a single Bitcoin these days.
Wow.
And what does it cost J.P. Morgan to create money out of thin air? That's what they do. That's how they. When they fund your house, that's how money is created. It's not at the central bank. It's not at the treasury. It's at the banking level. All they have to do is have $1, and then they can create 10 and lend it out to people.
Isn't it insane as a depositor? Like you're walking into a bank with $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever that amount of money is, and just by parking it in their bank, you're like you're giving them the gasoline for fractional reserve lending, and now they can loan out tenfold that amount.
It is insane and 99% of the population doesn't get it that the money is created for free. The best way to rob a bank is to own one, is what they say. And that's how money's created. Money is not created. There's some Federal Reserve parts involved. There's some Treasury parts involved. But the majority of money is created at the bank level when you go out and take a loan for your house or whatever. They just debit your account and voila, there's another $1 million that came into existence. It's insanity. And for Jamie Dimon to come out and say what he said and then go out and have his people in Europe invest in Bitcoin on the slam, I mean, where's first of all, are these people going to be fired? Like he said anybody that works for me who invests in Bitcoin, I'm firing them right away. Let's hear about the firing of the person that was in charge of buying this ETF.
Meanwhile, there's a round table going on in your office in San Francisco with about blockchain technology. Like it's
yeah.
No, but it's obvious.
He's all like all the guys who are just. It's such a different thing. It's like saying the internet at the beginning. The internet. They were saying, who cares about the internet? Who wants to send messages back and forth?
Yeah.
Well, there's so much more involved with the internet now. Businesses are being built and run on the internet.
E-commerce.
But back then, it was who would ever use this? Yeah. That's exactly what Jamie Dimon's saying right now with Bitcoin and the blockchain technologies is that the blockchain we can do a lot with it, but Bitcoin, you'd be an idiot to invest in it. Although he's been saying that for years. And it's the biggest gainer out of any investment around.
Yep.
So, if he's going to fire his best traders that got the most return that bought Bitcoin,
right.
I'd like to see him do that. But I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, I'd like to see. I hate enforcement and regulation just kind of as an anarchist.
As a rule.
It just makes me sad. I mean, you're right. We do need some form of regulation but I'm not saying we have to like cede our individual liberties to a collective third party with guns and stuff to do the regulation for us. I think we can do it ourselves through blockchain technology. I mean, We could probably regulate ICOs with a blockchain, and it's like there's no criminal intent, and we know these guys are obviously scammers because they've got nothing. I mean, whatever.
But then the last thing, there was three things. There's three things that they were going to do to bring down the price of the cryptos. The first was the banning ICOs in China. The second was the JP Morgan announcement that Bitcoin is a scam. And the third one was the shutting down of exchanges in China.
Right.
Now, that's the one that's kind of in progress. But the exchanges already were shut down back in December and January. Right. Because they were scams. All the exchanges are fractional reserve systems.
What was the one? What was the one recently? Wasn't it a Chinese exchange, OK Coin or something, where they released? Oh my God, there's like millions of dollars of clients' funds that have been commingled and invested in other ventures and stuff.
That's exactly what goes on, and that's why China's shutting them down. But if you remember back in December, and I think it was December of last year, the Chinese exchanges were trading millions of Bitcoins per day.
Yeah.
I mean, wait a minute. You know, there was only 16 million Bitcoins created ever, and you're telling me that, like, I think one day 10 million coins traded
on one exchange.
Where's is there any fraud at all in that? Right. So China shut those down, and the volumes in China are absolutely nada, and they have been for months. So shutting down Chinese Bitcoin exchanges or crypto exchanges means that hella beans. It means absolutely nothing.
Interesting.
Now they're using that story to get the price of Bitcoin and cryptos back to some kind of equilibrium, and then it'll run up from here. It'll get too high again, then they'll invent some other thing to say because they don't want it to go crazy right away.
Right. Well, I know there's
people to get in.
I know there's a ton of mining that comes out of China, right? But,
yeah, definitely.
But from the trading standpoint, so individual investors like me and you, I mean, in China, they exist certainly. Are they using decentralized exchanges, or there's just not that large of a trading population?
If they took any advice from anybody who knows what they're doing in cryptos, you do not keep your cryptos in any exchanges or any online wallets. That's the worst thing you can do. You have to, if you're an investor or even a trader, if you're a trader, the convenience of having it in the system so you can move really fast.
A little bit, yeah.
But the reality is, if you keep it in there, you should expect to lose it.
And I'm in that boat, right? Most of my crypto's offline. But I've got a small percentage in an exchange that
you have so much fun with trading, though.
I do have fun with it. And honestly, Bix, there's like 20 coins in there. And if I'd have to go research how to do paper, you can do paper wallet, like Saya coin, for example. If that's one that I want to hold for a while, I can go research how to do a Saya coin paper wallet and put it on there. Then I'm going to have 30 paper wallets.
Is it an ERC token?
No, it's not. The ERCs, that's part of the reason. I'm more attracted to ERCs for that reason, because I can shoot it offline and very easily grab it if I need to, you know.
Some people had asked me, like Veritasium is a great example of it's a company and a token working on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yep.
But it isn't necessarily requiring Ethereum. Veritasium started on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Right.
So it can go to any blockchain and pretty much do the same thing.
And there are competing smart contract blockchains, you know.
Oh, yeah. And there will be. Yeah. There will be a lot more, definitely.
Which is a great thing.
We're in that hot spot for Veritasium right now where Reggie Middleton's going to make some announcements probably by the end of the September about the Jamaican stock exchange. And it's such a big concept. And I know this Jamaican stock exchange is a pretty big exchange. It's not one of the monster exchanges, but it's one of the big ones. So it is a huge thing for them to adopt this peer-to-peer type of exchange. No more middlemen, no more costs of the banksters taking, and they can't front run and all this stuff.
So is there just not enough of problems in Jamaica from just a government rule standpoint? Is there not that much of a clampdown by the central bankers? I mean, to allow this, how did he pull that off? I mean,
Jamaica wants to embrace new technologies. They want to take their people out of poverty, and they know by getting in the front line of the changing world that they will be able to do just that. They are absolutely going to be the place to go if you want to own a stock, because it's going to be a real peer-to-peer exchange. Somebody has a stock and wants to trade it with somebody else, you don't need the exchange. You go right to the Veritasium network, and it's all done with Veri. And I think the most exciting thing about that
is that Veritasium has been pretty much banned from all the large exchanges in crypto world because they can do it themselves and nobody wants to give them that advantage. So when the Jamaican Stock Exchange implements the Veritasium platform, they're going to have Veritasium trading on that exchange.
Interesting. Wow. Sorry, guys.
Really
we had a little glitch there.
It always glitches when we're talking about important things.
As soon as I mention central banks, I swear to God, it shut down. There are some buzzwords. SWIFT is another one. We start talking about, the movement of wiring, trillions of dollars annually. They don't like that. Shh. Yeah.
Well, Jamie Dimon said, what did he say? $5 trillion every day is exchanged out of his secret Florida money vault.
What?
$5 trillion a day, and he made that announcement. It was like, what the hell are you talking about, Jamie? I thought you were a couple $1 trillion business, but $5 trillion every single day. How much fraud is in that $5 trillion?
Unbelievable. And this stuff's announced, by the heads of corporate, the head of the biggest freaking bank, and people don't, like the
biggest systemically important bank that is absolutely. If it goes down, the entire system goes down, and yet his guys are buying assets that are deemed to be scams, as he calls them. So
I was a financial advisor way back in the day, and I remember all the fantastic anti-money laundering and know your customer laws and trainings. I mean, dude,
definitely.
They just scare you into. I mean, if you've ever tried, for what we do, our clients have to go and open bank accounts. We set up this entity, and they have to go open a bank account,
and they make it hard on you.
Dude, the banking it's interesting dealing with the local banks. I know these corporate trainers. I've met them before. The ones that do this anti-money laundering corporate training for financial services people, and really actually mainly for the banking sector. And these retail level bankers that you walk in and talk to when you open your account, they go through an AML training that is so hard. It's like brainwashing. They are trained to believe that if people are coming in, especially with you're opening a new account for a new company, a new LLC, God forbid it's an out-of-state LLC. We have to do this and we make it easy, but it's insane. They're trained to believe that you're a money launderer or a terrorist. I mean, I've had clients with their own credit union they've banked at for 20 years. And they treat them like criminals when they're trying to just use. I mean, again, these instruments, LLCs, for example, they're used to limit liability. If you're going to buy a piece of real estate for an investment, a lakefront lot or a hunting piece of property, and somebody could fall on it, break their leg, and sue you for every dime you're worth. So it's good to own that inside of an LLC to limit your liability. There's all these things, but man, the banks, when it's just insane. It's insane. The same banks that are literally pay fines for getting caught, trafficking drugs, for God's sakes.
You name it. HSBC is one of the biggest money laundering operations in the world.
Money, criminal arms, right? I mean, didn't they get busted with a whole bunch of fire? It's insane, dude. And then they treat you.
J.P. Morgan's right in there too. I mean,
absolutely.
Look at Bernie Madoff.
How's our friend?
Bernie Madoff had one bank. They had one bank and one bank only, and that was J.P. Morgan. Every deal had to be signed off by the board of J.P. Morgan because it was over the limit. And absolutely, they were not only complicit; they were involved.
Yeah.
They were knee deep in the Bernie Madoff scam with the Mossad and all that stuff. I mean, when you go down that road, it's just crazy.
Too big to fail. It's the epitome of too big to fail.
Yeah, and I mean, banks like that are on that too big to fail list that the government will save at any cost should not be dealing with anything even close to what J.P. Morgan has been involved in. It basically tells me one thing, that they are ready to crash the system. They are ready to destroy the system. The next banking hiccup will be the mother of all hiccups because the Dodd-Frank law requires that the FDIC bail out all derivatives first with the banks. Then they can bail out Mon Pa's safe deposit or safe savings account and checking account and all that.
Yeah, not the safe deposit box. That's bank property.
No,
that's now bank property.
Yeah.
So when they started changing all these laws over the last several years, I mean, a lot of these laws have been enacted. These Basel Banking, these international, some of these are like the deposits was a Basel law 2 or 3 years ago. I remember we wrote about it and interviewed, talked about it. what is it, Basel is a Bank of International Settlements arm or something.
Yeah, Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3.
They basically just enacted a new law about the legal status of deposits, of bank deposits, that they're no longer, deposits, they're actually liabilities. It's bank property. You're now a debtor to the bank by providing them the currency. I mean, it's so beyond insane. And it just puts all these little rules in place so that when the mother lode hits, but when they first came, I'm like, man, this is so incredibly tyrannical. They're going to, like, how does nobody see this? But I love Bix's spin is, no, this is all by design so that they can take down the system. In 2009, they didn't have all these little things in place to make it really bleed to death. And I think now they do, right?
Well, it was Hank Paulson who came, in September of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
September, when he came in and said,
tanks in the streets.
We need $700 billion or this whole thing's going to go down
Martial
and collapse.
law
and everybody will lose everything in the electronic monetary system.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that Satoshi's white paper came out just after that.
Right.
Which, I mean, they've been working on cryptocurrencies since the 70s, really.
Mm-hmm.
And some really big breakthroughs came in the 90s, and then basically it wasn't until 2009 that Bitcoin began. Was it 2009?
I think so.
But the white paper came out right around there, and then floundered for years because who would believe something like that?
Yeah.
And until you really understood it, it took a long time for people to understand that this was a tool we could use to take down the old system and build something new.
Yeah.
We haven't had those tools.
It was interesting.
Banks.
Sorry,
they
buddy.
would cause.
Sorry,
chaos.
You broke up there a little bit.
Because nobody had. You would have to train the public on how to things.
Mm-hmm.
That white gold and silver is not the best way to move forward. And the cryptos solved all those problems really easily.
Man,
if you call it easy, it's been a rough road, but more and more people are coming to understand just what an amazing invention this is.
Indeed, man. It's I've known about Bitcoin since probably 2012 or so, and even as an alternative money, alternative investments person coming from the economics, and finance side of it, as a gold and silver bug. But I remember you and I mean, early on, a lot of the gold bugs and silver bugs, and some of them still have their feet dug in, their heels dug in on Bitcoin.
Chris Duane.
Chris is one of them.
He's trying to call me Bix. Chris is calling me Bix Bernanke.
You guys, we got to get a round table going and just like hash it out.
Truthfully,
I know
he won't do it. I wouldn't mind doing it, but he won't do it. He has already said that he'd be intellectually dishonest if he would change his mind. Just because he can't figure it out doesn't mean it's wrong. It's one of those things. He's lost so many subscribers because of his hardline silver stance, but he never gives anybody
changing your mind is intellectually dishonest.
Roadmap as to how it could ever be re-implemented.
Right. Yeah, I don't think.
He's calling me immoral and all this stuff. I'm like, give me a break.
Yeah. I don't know how changing one's mind can be intellectually dishonest. But
the world changed. There was no
everything's
alternative
changing
to gold and silver before the Bitcoin came out and the blockchain. There was no other alternative.
Even in 5 years, we had the Bitcoin alternative 5 years ago. But like, what is it? Yeah, okay, Amazon's maybe. I mean, early on with the Mt. Gox and all this stuff, and incredible price movement. I mean, even early on, and then a coordinated takedown with Mt. Gox in 2013, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I was there for that. Like, I remember pullbacks from like 500 to 300 and be like, oh my gosh, this is an epic buying opportunity. I'd buy half a Bitcoin. But I didn't get the application at the time. I was still buying a lot of, silver, which is, of course, still, silver will react like silver's going to do a Bitcoin. Just we're all waiting for that day.
I think silver is an amazing commodity used in everything
that we use today in technology and in computers, in flat screen TVs and cell phones and solar power, that's where the wealth of silver is going to be. And now that I don't believe silver will be introduced as a form of money. There's just not enough of it, and it's more valuable in other places. Now that the world recognizes that, I think they can stop the manipulation of silver, which would mean silver goes, takes a moonshot. But if they do it too soon, I mean, we wouldn't have flat screen TVs. We wouldn't have cell phones. It would be way too expensive. Who's going to pay $3,000 for a cell phone that has a 100th of an ounce of silver in it when silver's up at $50, $60, $70, $100,000 an ounce?
Yes.
I mean, it's a give and take.
Cell phones and computers alone. I mean, look at what cell phones and computers, their accessibility to the masses, what that does to the global economy. I mean, it's freaking astounding. So if now you have this massive price barrier to entry, all of a sudden a laptop's $20,000 and an iPhone is $5,000 or whatever, that changes the game.
But it would kill the solar industry. The solar industry, we're talking all the green, global warming guys. The solar industry would be gone in a blink of an eye if silver was $20,000, $30,000 an ounce, and so would a lot of these things. Ted Butler says it best: if gold is gone, it's no big deal. Gold can go to $1 million an ounce, and it's no big deal because gold isn't required in a lot of this stuff. It's just a store of value. If silver went to $1 million an ounce, our lives would change overnight.
Yeah,
absolutely, because silver is an important industrial.
Because it's industrial and it's tech.
What they've been, but as we, I mean, if you look at any company that uses silver, they could load up right now and stock up their warehouse. Apple Computer should do that, so that they'll always have silver to make iPhones. They should buy the last remaining few billion ounces of physical silver on planet Earth, so that they can still have products to produce over the next 50, 60 years.
Yep. Yeah, guys, apologies for the little bit of connectivity issues. Bix's his computer broke down this morning, so he's on his phone. So, please bear with us.
I can't tell if mine's breaking up or yours is breaking up.
I don't know. I think it's you, but I'm going to just blame you anyway.
Probably. Okay.
No, I mean, people get. I had a Jim Willie interview on Friday, and people get pissed when there's audio. I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to take 5 hours. I don't have a web person who I'm going to pay money to spend the rest of the day to cut this thing and edit it and make it perfect. Whatever. I know they do it a lot faster than half a day. It takes me half a day though, and I'm not doing that. Anyway, we'll get it cleaned up. Can we the crypto application? For me, I think understanding crypto, it's like there's like you graduate in your understanding of them, right? First, it's like the mechanics. You get the mechanics of how this blockchain technology works, right? This open source platform, this open source ledger balance, allowing for anonymity, but also allowing for, just incredible transparency as it pertains to monetary transactions. With Bitcoin, it was like, first I got the mechanics, when I was buying like half a Bitcoin on the dips. And then about a year ago, it smacked me in the head. Actually, it really hit me in Acapulco with you guys in February at Berwick's conference down there with the Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum was like $7 at the time, and but it wasn't a talk about we weren't talking about the investment opportunity. We were talking about the application and what it is. What are smart contracts? That was my first real introduction to it. And at that point, sitting, sharing a tequila with all kinds of interesting people, brilliant people, from business owners to journalists to hardcore coder Bitcoin geeks who are out there doing whatever sector of the business that they're involved in or the industry. Fascinating, right? So that's when I understood, whoa, man, my head went, I was like, okay, Bitcoin is everything financial, right? It is this incredible financial tool for us. Smart contracts, now we just opened Pandora's box. We can now digitize every human interaction in a positive way. Like we can put it on a blockchain. We can cut out multi-trillion-dollar a year middlemen increase efficiencies incredibly, increase communication. I mean, it's freaking amazing. Like two guys, I sell widgets and you sell information, and let's say we need to do some sort of business transaction together that involves a contractual obligation. Normally it could involve attorneys, it could involve accountants, it could involve all this complicated planning that we could basically have programmed into a smart contract, and it almost executes automatically. I mean, it's insane when you think about the application. Now your brain starts to go, wow, this is here to stay. Blockchain technology. If they kill Bitcoin, if the government infiltrates it and backdoors it or whatever, oh great, we've got 1,000 other ones. I mean, I don't think it's that simple. Obviously, Bitcoin's breadth and scope and scope of use and everything is huge today. But I think the application is massive, which brings me to a question. I know you've been covering salt pretty extensively. You and Cliff, I think you. It was in my fog of back problem and massive painkiller fog. But I remember you just texting me, dude, buy this. Cliff says it's long term. So I'm happy to be an early investor in it. You just funny right before we got online, you're like, I'm glad it's not live right now because of this massive price crypto dip that we've had. And I'm like, well, I kind of wish it was, because right now I'm totally invested, in alts too. I mean, I have like 0 Bitcoin. Normally my strategy was keep some dry Bitcoin for times like this, when it's, when ADX is 50 cents or, good deals, good stuff that you would have bought, weeks early at $1.25 is now 50 cents. That's when you're like, okay, let's take a couple Bitcoin off the shelf and buy. Of course, I have no dry Bitcoin.
That's where you make
no
where
dry
you make
cash.
money.
Yeah. But that's where salt, if salt was live, theoretically, I could leverage against the value of my cryptos and buy more. But
Salt Lending I think it's the first company, Ethereum blockchain based token that is bridging the gap between the old system and the new system. The old system of you can compare it to Lending Tree, where they have people banks who want to lend and borrowers who want to borrow, and they put them together, and it's a gigantic company. They do $80 million worth of business a year. It's a $3 billion valuation of the company. But they have, of the $380 million in business, they have $325 million in costs. That's where the blockchain technology and these companies just yanks all the crap out of that system. They need to do loans, like they need contract administrators, they need lawyers, they need collections people. The whole infrastructure of lending and banking, most of that can just be ripped out and done with smart contracts. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing thing. Salt's the first one. I think they're planning to go live by the end of the year, where it's collateral-based loans on your cryptos. So you give them whatever they accept. I think it's going to start with probably Bitcoin and Ethereum, but they'll probably get into Salt, using Salt as collateral as well, because it's going to be one of the top 20 cryptos when it begins trading. Now, they went through their ICO. They got a very successful ICO. They ended up opening even some more at $12.50. And now they're going through the approvals. Like they have to, because they're dealing with banks, they have to do all these banking approvals, like know your customer and stuff like that. And you're not going to be able to say, make up a fake email and fake social security number and fake everything and say, I'm going to participate in this one, because they got to stay above the board, which is awesome. So right now they're getting all those approvals. And then when the assessment of everything is signed off on, they're going to, within 15 days of that, they're going to get the tokens out there to distribute the ERC tokens to the people who bought them. So then they will go trading on the exchanges. I heard all the major exchanges, practically all of them, are going to be trading Salt tokens. And then come November, December, it's going to be where you can actually use Salt tokens to get a loan. And that's another really interesting part of this.
So you give them, $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then you borrow $75,000 on that. You get all the gains and losses. So it's still your Bitcoin. You're still the owner of the Bitcoin. But if you don't live up to the contract, the bank will pull out some of your collateral to pay. So the banks love it because they can perfect these loans so well. They don't have to repossess your house and all that.
Push a button.
So it's really exciting. It's really exciting. And people should love it because you're still going to get the appreciation or depreciation of your Bitcoin that you put down as collateral.
Right.
So, yes, I'm very excited about Salt, and that's just the beginning. And there's all kinds of different things that can go with it. Hang on. I got a guy mowing my lawn. Hang on one second. Take it over.
No worries. Yeah, and another thing regarding that Salt lending option is there's no capital gain. Like, if you sell your Bitcoin right now, if you bought Bitcoin at, $1,000 and you want to...
I'm back.
I was just talking about the non-capital gain aspect of the Salt lending program too. So if I bought Bitcoin at 1,000 and it's 4,000 today, and I want to go buy this new ICO or whatever I want to redo my driveway, whatever I want to do, I need money. But I don't want to sell the Bitcoin because I bought it at 1,000 and I sell it at 4,000. That's a taxable gain, So I can leverage it through the Salt, and then there's no sale. One thing I should also clarify in our last interview, I mentioned regarding like-kind exchanges, and I did a little more research on this. Like if you buy Bitcoin and you're trading in and out of the other cryptos, that it's probably a like-kind exchange. Well, it's probably not. We don't know because, of course, cryptos are the wild, wild west. They haven't been ruled on by the IRS as it pertains to like-kind exchanges. We set up self-directed IRAs where people can buy and trade cryptos or silver or other assets, tangible assets, inside their IRA, but control them themselves. But, sorry, now I've got a plane going overhead. But the aspect of going in and trading Bitcoin, it goes up in value. So you buy something, you trade it for Ethereum, or you trade it for Litecoin, you trade it for pick a crypto. I just didn't want to mislead folks. That is not IRS has not ruled on like-kind exchanges yet as it pertains to cryptos. But when they do, it's very likely that they will rule that it's not like-kind. So if you say that, they'll say Bitcoin and Ethereum, they'll probably even rule Bitcoin and Litecoin. A forked coin, it's the same. They'll rule it as not a like-kind exchange as well. Because if you look at what they did with gold and silver, you can't like-kind exchange a Krugerrand for a gold eagle because of the difference in metals content, and because of the mintages on eagles are more limited. So, it's like if they did that with gold, just so FYI, I want to clarify that. If you are hoping for... Now, when you do it inside an IRA, there is no capital gain. You can buy Ethereum, you can buy whatever the next Ethereum is, and for $7, and it goes to $1,000, and your IRA goes from, $50,000 to, oh God, don't make me do that math, a million bucks. That's not a taxable gain. Your IRA goes up in value, and when you distribute from your IRA later in retirement, those are taxable distributions. You pay an income. That's just income. But what happens is your piggy bank gets bigger, right? Your your piggy bank just got massively bigger. So it's not a taxable. That's what's cool about cryptos inside of IRAs or Roths. A lot of the real smart money, the people, actually the congressional people who wrote the tax code to allow this type of strategy, have been using it for decades, predominantly for private equity, right? If you're a senator or a congressperson, you have inside knowledge. You know people, and your friend Steve might be starting a company, and he's going to get this contract with Aramco or whatever, and so you're like, man, okay, I'm gonna dump my whole IRA into this thing. Well, they'll do it with a Roth, then it's all tax free, and they'll buy Ford Motor Company or whatever at 10 cents a share. So anyway, I kind of went on a tangent there on the taxable stuff, but yeah, I'm excited about Salt. I know you've been covering it pretty closely. I'm curious what it's going to do from a trading standpoint right out of the gates, and if there's a delay, even just a short delay before that's live, there may be a buying opportunity for folks. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do if I break my number one rule of taking profits or not. But, you know, you're probably right. A lot of these buy and hold.
I think a lot of people are salt and saying, okay, am I a trader, meaning I want short-term gains, or am I truly an investor investing in a company that's going to do well over the long term? And you got to make that call on everything. Salt has a lot of tricks up their sleeve. Once they get this certain platform going, you know, working with the banks to do crypto loans, literally it's the platform that's more valuable because they can do anything they want from there. So it's not just crypto loans.
You're exactly right. And you can really, if you analyze the metrics, I mean, what I would do as an investor, if I was considering doing this, okay, let's say maybe I have a large position that I got in at $1.50 because Bix twisted my arm to, thank you. And let's say I might consider, okay, when this thing goes live at $10 or $12 or $15, I'm going to sell half or a third or whatever, a quarter of it. Or do I wait? But if you know, like, okay, how many people, what are the metrics, right? How many people bought at 25 cents and 50? How many people bought $1.50 and sub? And how many buyers are out there now? Nobody really knows about salt. I mean, if you go to the crypto Twitter trading community, which is the place I get a lot of, in Slack, you can get a lot of great information. You got to filter through a bunch of crap and a bunch of people pumping a coin they want to go up in value, but you can find a lot of valuable data, and there's seasoned traders and investors on there. Many of them are 19 and 20 years old, but they've been in crypto for 8 years or whatever. Well, maybe not the 19-year-olds, but and then a lot of these, they don't even know what salt is. So I have a feeling that a large
but there's
part
a
of the
reason.
investment community.
There's a reason for that, and they didn't do interviews to the closing of the ICOs. They've started a roadshow now, and you're going to see a lot more advertising because it's such a great retail product that's coming to market literally within the next couple months. So it's not one of these ICOs that you're buying and hoping it's going to become a company in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's something that's almost ready to go, and it'll be utilized by so many crypto people because they want – I mean, I have coins that I just sit and hold because I bought them. I thought it was a good buy, and I don't plan on selling them for decades, truthfully. And why not leverage that and put it into a collateralized crypto loan? So that's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people like me.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay the capital gain.
Yeah. The crypto to silver, I'm going to be really, if precious metals can be incorporated into a blockchain somehow, right, where you've got, there's always a middleman.
I think the trading will be incorporated. Yeah, the trading will be incorporated.
Storage is the problem.
Anything third party, I wouldn't trust for a second.
Yeah.
So if there's any third party related, like Veritasium would be perfect for trading silver. It's a peer-to-peer transaction.
Gotcha.
So it's just the people involved in the trade that hold the metal and hold the cash. So something like Veritasium going into the COMEX or the LBMA to give it more trust and honesty, it would be bad for the exchanges and bad for the banks who big the metal markets, but it'll be good for the mining companies and be good for the users of silver.
Have you ever heard about the Polynesia? There's some island over there, and I think they still use this monetary system today. It's a massive stone or rock or series of wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's made of stone. I think you can't move it, but everybody can walk by and look at it and verify it's there. And it's to me, that's sort of an archaic blockchain, right? You've got this public open ledger balance where people can go, oh, there's the wheel. Maybe there's a ledger over here that says, okay, Fred bought, 1/18 or whatever, a little piece of a Satoshi from Bix. And is there a way? I mean, I'm thinking kind of crazy here, but what if we put a certain metric, an exact amount of silver in a big blob, and we sealed it somewhere in a tower, and everybody can say hi to it and look at it, and it's okay, there's it's all regulated on the blockchain, so all the transactions, but there's the silver.
We've moved on.
I know.
We've moved on.
So we've moved on. The world is moving on technologically. We don't need gold and silver as money anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to use the cryptocurrencies. No matter how much Chris Dwayne hates it, it's going to happen. It is. People have been conditioned to use their cell phones to buy things already, and credit cards. We can use all that stuff can be used in the cryptocurrencies. They're even talking about putting why not put a public address on every $100 bill, a public and private address, so that you have this. You can put it on a piece of paper, and you can use it as cash if you wanted. And once that is transferred out of that $100 bill, then it's worth nothing. It's one of those things. The world, but we don't need it anymore. That's the biggest thing is we've invented something that's better than gold and silver. Yeah. Gold and silver were good for the last 5,000 years, and now we've invented something better that you can trust and is open and honest, is not contingent upon any government giving it the stamp of approval. That's why I don't care what China says about the exchanges. I don't care what the United States says about the exchanges. There's no government that is necessary for the cryptocurrencies to thrive. And those countries that embrace cryptocurrencies are going to do well, and those countries that ban it are going to do poorly. China is very long-term, not going to do anything that hurts them too much in the crypto world because they are the leading edge, and they have been for a long time. They just want to slow it down right now. Yeah. So I think it's the greatest time ever, and we're really, really early in this process.
Very early. I mean, it's hard to look at, let's say somebody who's just brand new to Bitcoin today, and they look at the price. Oh my gosh, it's $4,000, and then